South Africa were winning plenty of collisions on Saturday, and they were back at the Stade de France, winning again, a stadium that has lots of happy memories for them. They were down to 14 men for 40 minutes. They were 14-6 down to France at one point. They go on to win 32-17. Murray, nothing overly surprising here, but they're just looking like a pretty serious force at the moment.
Well, it's kind of surprising that they'd finished, that not comfortable, but that dominant a position, especially when you throw in the red card. We thought this was going to be the game of the window, but like they were the better team in the end by a decent chunk. They're just so impressive. They're mental monsters, aren't they? Like you're down. There's been a red card permanent, which is like so rare in rugby these days. We should chat about that incident. But then they just are totally confident and have full belief in the way they're going to win the game. The maul is brilliant maul try to get to
Mm.
get to get in front. Just an outstanding bit of forward play and power, and that just is such a big monumental psychological win. We just bullied you over your own line, um, and it was a tough moment for Ireland actually when Japan drove them over their line.
Yeah.
We should say that's another big blot on the forwards copybook there. But coming back to the box, and then yeah, just the assuredness and composure and the contribution of every single player. Like you look at Rhynak, genius in the first half and changing the game. And then Grant Williams comes on and has his moment. And you think there's another 6 or 7 scrum halves who could be in that mix. They've so much quality. Even when they went, it was 25-17 and they went to the corner or they kicked to touch on a penalty where you're thinking they have to kick the three here just to create that separation. But they're like, no, we fully back ourselves to score again here. And Feinberg and Gamazulu does score. So it was thoroughly impressive. It just underlined their position. We knew they were the best team in the world, like that was not in dispute, I don't think, from anyone really. But this totally underlined it, and what a challenge it's going to be. Like they're so good at getting themselves up for everything. They always have a chip on their shoulder about something. Razzie really is the master of creating energy, and listen, he has luxuries that others would envy in terms of the quality of player. But he's brilliant at creating that feeling in the group, and they will have a hell of a lot of feeling coming to Dublin. He hasn't won there all the history with these two teams, the wins Ireland have had, going down there, and those Ciarán Foley drop goals, like they're fresh in their memory, and you can only imagine how he'll be prodding them that week. So how Ireland are going to have to go to another few levels to pull off a win there.
Yeah, I think the problem is Ciarán with the box for us as an opponent is they can beat you lots of different ways. Like at the weekend, like fairness, they take off Sia because of the red card, and then it just absolutely destroys France. Like for France to be pushed over and maul like that in Stade de France, it's with a man less. Like that'll mark them. That'll really mark them. Like they lost a World Cup quarterfinal thinking they were unlucky. Well, they've put a dent in their head now, South Africa, and they want to do that. They're amazing. Their mentality is amazing. Because as Murray said, despite all the success, despite a lot of older guys, massive experience, they've been able to bring through some new players. Find like fellas who were backup now are starters like Reinark, and in actual fact, I think they look better than they were. I think they look better because their attack is better than they used to be. Now it wasn't really a night for that. But I think Tony Brown has had a positive influence on them. He's found a way to. They don't attack like Japan used to under Tony Brown. He's probably given up a lot of his normal philosophy to try and find what attack suits that mentality and that profile of players. And I think you're getting a really nice balance then. But why did they smash Japan last week? Because they were able to absolutely squeeze them at set piece, which we weren't really. I know we got a maul try, but their lack of ability to win the ball and our lack of ability to maul them like South Africa did, to overpower them physically. Like that's why we were in a battle for longer than we should have been in theory. But they have that power, they have that aggression, they have that game plan, they have that togetherness, they have that confidence. They've got some unbelievable X factor. Like Grant Williams off the bench. He may not even be their bench scrum half, but Grant Williams off the bench is frightening. He's frightening. U10, yeah, just in general, Esterhazen, like it's a proper hybrid. Like he's a proper hybrid. Delande still are still very relevant. It's frightening, really. It's frightening, really. That's why if we could beat them, it would be an unbelievable achievement, I think, and that would do a hell of a lot of good for our confidence.
I think that
It's
is.
great watching this era of South African rugby, isn't it? Like you mentioned the S-Racing thing there, how successful it's already been. Like he's part
Yeah.
of those molds. He's nailing his detail around it, and they've been so innovative. And listen, obviously the kind of toxic online element of South African rugby, mainly on Twitter, it seems to be, it can kind of create I don't know, not a hatred, but people kind of want to see their downfall almost, and they have a real strong habit. Rassi does it of creating this us against the world and chip on the shoulder mentality, but on the pitch, they've been just brilliant to watch in the last few years. They're very innovative. They're very smart. As you say, they're very balanced now, Birch. They can do it a lot of different ways. And yeah, they're real innovators and leaders. And actually, one of the things that's from this game, from both sides, actually, it stood out to me again. France, actually, their first try comes from like a regained aerial contest. And Ireland haven't quite got that nailed yet, have they? They've been close a few times of winning a few high balls. They're still going to win the ball, it looks like, to catch it in the air. And I think it's starting to dawn on them that there's got to be a bit more batting and work around how you're setting up that kind of secondary chase to win those scraps and win those even deliberate bat downs. You're seeing England now, they're clearly targeting people kind of the secondary line and batting the ball down to them. You saw it with the Pollock try in 2 weekends ago. Yeah. So Ireland haven't quite nailed that. And they're like, there's a massive part of the game now. It's just so important. And if Ireland can get a few more wins in that area where they've been close, it'll transform how they look and how people are talking about them. I've digressed there, but I'm just really enjoying watching this South African team, the thoughtfulness and the purpose they have and the joy they take in playing for their nation and for each other. It's they're right up there as one of the best of all time, certainly.
Actually, Murray, they're actually dead sound fellas off the field as well. Like they're this hard nosed, aggressive team, mentality monsters, you said, but actually they're really open. The coaching staff are really open. Players are really open. They have that balance right. They don't lock themselves away and be untouchable. They're actually real people, and like they're getting both sides right. The All Blacks, when they were dominant, I felt were quite standoffish and quite closed and quite dour. Whereas I actually think the Boks are dominant and are quite good for the game. They're in terms of their willingness to share and just be out there, and like people like Sia and stuff, like they're amazing ambassadors for the game. They're playing 5 games this November, and yeah, like I think Wales played them, don't they, outside the window, which could be pretty tough for Wales. Watching them yesterday, there was some bright spots, but I thought Argentina were clearly a better side.
Murray, you wanted to come back to the Lou Diego red card.
Well, it's noteworthy just because it's a permanent red. And I mean, I thought this was gone from the game. I thought referees would never take it upon themselves to use it anymore. So I would say fair play to Angus Gardner in conjunction with his team of officials, because they clearly did have a role in it. Initially, it looked like he was going to maybe send it for off-field review, but I think it's good to see a permanent red. I think referees have just completely gone away from making those decisions on the pitch. I actually thought the one with Tom Farrell getting tipped, even like the ref can see it, but he's kind of waiting for the TMO to intervene when he can probably lead that review himself. But I thought it was noteworthy for that. I did think it was a red card. I think this is certainly in terms of how referees have been guided around this kind of stuff. Because the key question is here: is it a deliberate / intentional action? That's kind of the differentiating point between a 20-minute red and a permanent red. The guideline for referees is that if it's a high level of danger and it's intentional and always illegal, then it's a permanent red card. Now, Lou Diager, rightly, I would say, I'm not intending to hit him on the head there. Like when I launch myself at the tackle, he's actually still up on his left foot. There's the tackler hanging off his right. And at a late stage, he does kind of dip down as he gets tackled. So I don't think Lou Diager was trying to hit him in the head, but it was always illegal and it was a high level of danger. And one of the things that the refs have been told to watch out for in terms of permanent red cards is that palm backwards, where he's clearly not making he's no intention of wrapping. So his intention was never to wrap there. It's to drive the shoulder in, and that's not a legal action at all. It's really dangerous. Palm backwards. The other one is when they've tucked shoulder or when they have a clenched fist. I think the referees have been told to watch out for as well, because that's just driving your shoulder in without a wrap. So yeah, like part of me has some sympathy for Diago, because I actually think when he launches, he's just trying to, I'm going to smash Ramos in the midriff here, make a really dominant tackle. But that's not what happened. He has to be aware of the potential there for Ramos to dip potentially. And also he has to be aware that his action with his arm is completely illegal. And that was a decision he makes.